Hello friend, it's Jennifer with Underway Drifting and Dreaming. It is a chilly morning here at Lock 42. We are in Ontario and almost to the Big Chute or the Marine Railroad on the Trent-Severn Waterway. So we literally, when we say we are spending the night at the wall, that's literally what we mean. So the blue line is over here. When you come into the lock and you're ready to lock through, you must be at the blue line. I am standing actually on the gate to the lock, and it's just a gorgeous morning here. I've been up since about 4 this morning. The trains were coming through, the windows were open, so just a little bit noisier. So I have been up. I've been watching YouTube. We have no cell data except a little bit. I don't know if you are my age, but in the 90s, you would dial up and wait, and it would make a few noises, and then AOL would say, "You got mail." Well, I watched Becky at Acre Homestead. It was an hour video, and it took about 2 hours. It is now, I think, 6:15. It is truly a different way of life living without data, cellular data at your fingertips or Wi-Fi. We are out in the middle of nowhere. And I know if I try to say the name of the city, it's Couchincing. I'm not saying it very well, articulating it. But this is the lock here. This is the other side. So we'll be locking down. We've been locking down since Kirkland or Kirkfield with the lift lock. And it's all downhill from here. We have 4 more locks, well, 3 locks and 1 railway to go through. It's I think this one's a 22-foot difference. So this is the bottom lock. And the timbers on these lock gates are amazing. So not each year, but what they do is when they do maintenance, they pull all those out and check them. And this big metal plate keeps everything together. Nobody stayed down here at the lower lock last night. It was Sunday night, so most locals were heading home. We made it we were supposed to go on a little bit further, but we had an issue with our stabilizers overheating. So the day before we were in Aurelia at the marina, we had only planned to stay 1 night. They had us on a very nice T-head, and somebody else was coming in, a bigger boat than us, and they needed it. So they moved us to the other side of the marina. They guaranteed that had 5 feet of water. We draw 5 feet. Well, they had 5 feet of water, but we need at least a few inches underneath our keel. We came to a dead stop. We waited until the marina gave us another assignment. And when we got underway, there must have been some sediment in the line. So with the engine, the water cools the engine. Of course, there's coolant in there, but you also use raw water that comes through. And once it goes through the heat exchanger and in cooling off that engine, it continues on to our stabilizers. Our stabilizers are there to keep us from rolling. Of course, we're not pitching and pulling and rolling on the river, but you still have to have them locked down so they don't flop around underneath the boat. Well, immediately we had high temperatures. We stopped. I took the helm, did some S-turns, trying to maybe shake the stabilizers a little bit to see if that was causing it. It was a hydraulic temp. It wasn't. And so we just proceeded slowly through the lake until we got to the lock. Tied up, and Jim used actually the outboard engine. It has when you clean out the outboard engine, it has a small nozzle, and we were able to put some high pressure on that line. When we arrived, we looked at the overboard discharge, and it was just steam. So it was something that needed to be taken care of, and we couldn't do it underway. So I think it was like that for probably 40 minutes, and it is running great. So today, once the locks open up, which will be, the Park Service will be here at 9 a.m. and they will lock us through, and we'll continue heading down the river to, I believe, Swift Rapids is next. It's about 14 miles away. So depending on how our day goes, we may stop there or continue to the Big Chute. And we may be locking through, going over that railroad today. But isn't it a gorgeous morning here? I haven't seen any ospreys or eagles. Maybe it's just too wooded. There's a one-lane bridge. I see somebody up there on a bicycle waiting for a car. We'll check out the other side of the lock. Now there's a lot of history. So each lock has a board like this, and it talks about the history. And here this one says that this lock was completed in 1920, and it was the final push to get that the waterway transportation between Lake Ontario and the Georgian Bay. Now we were in Bobcaygeon, which that lock was built in 1833, and it looks, I mean, from the pictures, could you imagine working at that time? I mean, in Ontario, you could only work probably, it wasn't probably year-round, but it looks like they're blasting here, and a lot of this is solid rock. Great technology for the waterway transportation system. Look at those channel markers move. Those cans are moving quick with the current. Bridge is just finished, almost finished swinging. We are back at it. We do have another yacht on our stern. So we both came through the lock together this morning. This is bridge number 57. Talking about a Park Service. Check out this current. Welcome to Lock 43. This is Swift Rapids. I was truly amazed by this lock overall. It's a single chamber, and it's the deepest lock at difference at 47 or 48 feet. The massive doors and the amount of time it takes to lock, it's 7 minutes. There's so much water that must be rushing out of that chamber. 7 minutes to empty it. It's probably 120 feet long. I'm not sure how wide it is, but this is truly amazing. I spent hours walking around up and down the steps just watching. just fully engrossed with this lock. And here, this boat's going to be going up. So I'm gonna watch it go in, then head up the stairs.
Hello.
There's a lot of stairs.
Good, good.
And keep an eye on it. Downriver of Lock 43, you can see there's a few pleasure boats there, but we're going to turn around and look at the spillway of the dam. It had 2 chambers, I guess that you want to say. I don't know what they're called, but on this day there was only 2 open. And the next morning when I go out for a walk, they have 3, and that water is flowing so quick. I hustled and ran up the lock stairs so I could get the boats leaving and heading upstream. This lock is amazing, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a whole locking process for you to see. The boats on the blue line proceeding in, and the lock personnel, they use speakers or loud hailers, I guess, to communicate with the boaters, and they tell them where to pull into. And there's a look at the overflow while the boats are loading. The gates close, and once the gates are closed, it takes 7 minutes to drain the chamber. And it's the same 7 minutes whether you're draining or flooding. It's a very quick process. And we connected to a float. Actually, that's what I put the bow line on. And so Jim just had to hold on to the line. I was on the stern when we went through, and you'll see my point of view on the stern. I went for a walk the next morning. I had 4 miles in. I walked out a mile on each side, and there's nothing, just country roads. I was very careful of wild animals, snakes. It was a gravel road, but there is nothing there. But this is the most amazing lock. It would be nice if you could visit, and you'll hear the bells in the background from the town that we're in currently. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, so I think there's just 2 more bells. Oh, that was it. So it's just a rapid descent. And here, as I'm standing by the doors, there's pigeon eggs on that door. And the pigeons just live in there. And I don't know if you'll be able to see that floating bolliard. And the boats are off. They're heading down. The next destination for them is the Marine Railway, the Big Chute. And massive doors closing. And those doors closing do not bother the pigeons at all. That's the coolest sound ever. Jim just theorized that maybe it was the pump that's turning off because it's almost done pumping. We see the jet skiers go through the locks also. Waking up the next morning, it was gorgeous. We slept to the sound of the water going through the dam. And out here we took our kayak and stand-up paddleboard. We had a camper that was behind us. And I can't believe I got 4-mile walk in at this lock. We are heading out of the lock and going towards the Big Chute, the Marine Railway. We are excited for the next part of our adventure. It's kind of nice to end with the Marine Railway and Trent-Severn. So off we go. And then we received a Facebook post. Thanks for watching as we continue our great loop adventure on the Trent-Severn Waterway. We will be looking for a dock at the Marine Railway. Thanks for watching. Keep on watching. We appreciate you clicking like and subscribing to watch our great loop adventure.